Here is Joe Kaufman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending and participating in our rally. A rally to remember what took place 1 year ago when pro-Hamas and pro-Hezbollah radicals took to the streets across America to denounce Israel. They did so in the most violent fashion. Right here in South Florida, a number of these pro-terror extremists were arrested. One, a veterinarian from Bonita Springs, Florida, named Riyad Atmani, had been charged with felony battery for striking a police officer and breaking his glasses. The individual largely responsible for these rallies is Sofian Abdelaziz Zakout, the director of the American Muslim Association of North America, or Amana. I know this individual well, as I was instrumental in shutting down a Hamas-related charity he was involved with, the Health Resource Center for Palestine, or HRCP. He was the vice president of the group. Today, Zakout's Amana Group acts as an umbrella organization for 15 radical mosques up and down South Florida. His charity is shut down, and yet he is free to create violent pro-terror rallies. I ask you, is that justice? No! Thankfully, there was another side that came out time and time again to support Israel and speak out against the terrorists. Many of these counter-protests were led by a good man, Bob Kunst, who was a speaker at this rally. I attended a couple of these events. At one, I came as an investigative journalist, which is what I do for a living. My friend Tom Trento had taken video of a girl screaming for Jews to go to the ovens, and I wanted to see this for myself. So I stood with the reporters and videotaped an hour's worth of the other side. What I witnessed was shocking. I saw a young boy holding a sign equating the Jewish star with a Nazi swastika. I saw an even younger child waving a flag, wearing what appeared to be a Hamas bandana. I saw a teen scream, "There is no Israel." I saw about a half dozen others repeatedly doing the Hitler Sieg Heil salute. One was shouting, "Go, go Hitler," and he should have finished you off. All of them, boy and girl alike, were screaming, "Hamas and Hezbollah, kick your ass." They were all saying, quote, "Jesus killer," and quote, "Go back to Germany." And yes, someone was shouting repeatedly, "Go back to your ovens." But what was the most disturbing of all was the songs that the members of the group were chanting. They were ones that would normally only be heard in Beirut, Lebanon, or the Gaza Strip. They were songs straight from Hamas and Hezbollah. One was recited, "Khaybar, Khaybar, O Yahud, Jaish Muhammad, Safa Yahud," translated, "Khaybar, Khaybar, O Jews, Muhammad's army will return," a Quranic reference to a massacre of a Jewish community that took place in the town of Khaybar. There were girls on the left and boys on the right, with a few young adults looking without interest behind them. Every one of the kids knew the songs by heart as they sang them with all of their heart. Question: where did these kids learn these songs? They live in the United States, not Beirut or Gaza. Where did they learn them? In their mosques? In their homes? In their schools? Obviously, there are seeds of hate being sown right here in South Florida. That's why we're here, to bear witness to that hate. Because if we don't speak out, then who is going to do it for us? Is the mainstream media going to do it? No. No. Are the government officials going to do it? No. No. It seems it's too politically incorrect to report about hate. So people like you and I have to. I am the the chairman of Americans Against Hate. If you don't know, Americans Against Hate is an anti-bigotry terrorism watchdog group. We've been around for 11 years. Today we have launched a new initiative, an initiative to defend Israel called Young Zionists. As the name suggests, we intend to reach the youth of this nation, a youth that is being corrupted by a sinister anti-Israel agenda both on and off campus. We created Young Zionists to respond to the growing pressure being placed on Israel by the U.S. government and others to make, quote, peace with terrorist organizations such as Fatah and terrorist harboring nations such as Syria. And yes, Fatah is a terrorist organization. Here is a printout of the homepage of Fatah's official website taken this morning. On it are the logos of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, the self-described militant wing of Fatah, as well as links to terrorist communiques from the brigade hosted on Fatah's site. Notice peacemaker Mahmoud Abbas next to his fellow terror leader Yasser Arafat. Well, here's another printout. It's the U.S. State Department's list of foreign terrorist organizations, or FTOs, and on the list is the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade. Indeed, the U.S. government considers the Palestine Liberation Organization, the PLO, the parent organization of Fatah, a terrorist group. According to the Anti-Terrorism Act of 1987, the PLO is a terrorist, a quote, terrorist organization, and it is, quote, unlawful for the PLO to, quote, establish or maintain an office inside the United States. It was signed into law by President Ronald Reagan, and it has been the law ever since. So, Joe, you ask, if that's so, if the PLO is illegal in the United States, how could there possibly be a PLO mission located less than 2 miles from the White House? Simple. Because President Obama and President Bush before him and President Clinton before him signed waivers every 6 months to circumvent this law. They have abused their executive privileges to allow a terrorist group to set up shop inside the United States. I am holding here President Obama's most recent waiver of the Anti-Terrorism Act. I respect the office of president, but I expect the office of president to respect the security of this nation and its citizens. I also expect the president to do right by Israel. How dare this administration tell Israel that she needs to halt the natural growth of any of her communities? The White House and others marginalize these communities as, quote, Jewish settlements. Well, some of these so-called settlements are thriving areas, and they need to remain that way. My message to Israel: grow your communities. Keep growing your communities. Do not stop, no matter what anyone says. You didn't gain your independence with all that bloodshed in 1948 to become the puppet of anyone, U.S. or otherwise. And President Obama, stop talking about diplomacy with Iran. We have to know by now that nothing will stop Iran from its nuclear ambitions except force. By talking about diplomacy, we are made to look weak in the eyes of Iran and all of our other enemies. And sanctions offer nothing except time for Iran to complete its program. If we're not willing to take Iran on ourselves, for God's sake, do not hinder Israel from doing the job for us. And it is for us, because in Iran, they chant death to America just as much, if not more, than they chant death to Israel. And during 9/11, we learned that the other side of the globe was a lot closer than we believed it to be. And if Israel, the biblical homeland of the Jews and Christians, goes, you better be sure we will cease to be a nation as well. Our presence here today is a reminder of what took place last year when Israel defended herself and the enemy took the streets. We must not let this memory fade. And the only way to make sure of that is to act upon this. Actions, actions. Make your voices heard. If we do not speak, who will speak out for us? The answer is no one. I invite you to visit our table over there, the one with the beautiful Young Zionist sign. And please visit our website, www.youngzionist.org. Thank you so much. Thank you.